Hey there.
Hey JJ, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, thanks.
Good.
I think you're the first person I've talked to in 5 weeks of doing this who has a green screen behind them. Super
I
pro.
know I've been doing a lot of I've been spent the last month doing a lot of virtual concerts, some of them private and some of them public on Sunday nights.
Cool. I got to
Had to get
enjoy
my
one of
50 in.
those early
What's that?
on. It's awesome. I got to enjoy one of those pretty early on in all of this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, why don't we jump right in? Can you tell us who you are, where you are, and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Joe Pug. My full name is Joe Pugliese, but I go by Joe Pug as like a stage name. I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, right outside of DC, in between DC and Baltimore, and I'm a singer-songwriter that usually travels around the world and plays music.
And you also have a fabulous podcast, and I've noticed that getting ahead of myself here with the questions, but that you are increasing the frequency of those podcasts now during this time that we're home.
Yeah, I've got a podcast called The Working Songwriter where I interview other songwriters that I admire, and it's usually a monthly show because it takes a lot of work to produce it, actually. But now I got time on my hands, so we're doing it weekly now during the crisis. So
I appreciated your tribute to John Prine recently. The Todd Snyder episode was amazing, and then you've
thank
brought
you.
some people back that you had talked to in the past. So MC Taylor of His Golden Messenger, John Paul White. Really interesting to hear them again for a second time. It seems like you'll never run out of things to talk about with people who have that kind of depth
Yeah,
to what they do.
I hope not. I'd like to have all those guys back and gals back as much as possible.
Yeah. So you've been very busy with live streams and with the increased podcast episodes. Have you had much time to listen to music that other people are making?
Not really. I mean, I got two young kids to have like a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so I've been pretty slammed. The one thing that I have heard this year that I really like a lot is I've gotten into that band. I think they're from New Jersey, pretty young guys named Pine Grove. I like that a lot. I've been
Oh
listening
yeah,
to a lot of that.
yeah. I saw. It's really hard to keep up with the chats on these things, but I saw Morgan Eve is here with us. Say hello to
Hey,
Morgan Eve.
Morgan
I actually
Eve,
saw her play
Miss
with you.
Blaine, how you doing?
She played with you at Newport, right?
Yeah, it's weird. That's actually the only time that her and I ever played together. I was the opening act for a Devil Makes Three tour that she was on, so we got to know one another. And then I knew she was going to be at Newport that year to play, and we were going to play a set. And so we just hit her up, and that was the only gig we ever played together. But it was a good one.
Well, then I feel extra fortunate to have been there for that if that was the only one. Um, so how else have you been passing the time? You've got kids at home too. Are you having to do play preschool teacher at the same time? Your wife is a teacher, right?
Yeah, my wife's a teacher, and so she's home. And so my 1-year-old, you just let them run around, and then my 3-year-old, yeah, we're kind of getting ahead of it a little bit. We're teaching him how to read, but for the most part, it's just take them to a creek where there's no one else around, and you can't get anybody sick, and you just let them freak around at the creek all day, which is, I mean, honestly, it's really fun. It's really. Uh, I'm actually glad to have little kids right now. It's really, we've gotten to spend a lot of time really focused in on them, and you know, counting my blessings. Thank God for that.
That's
So
good. Would you have been on the road right now were it not for these circumstances?
I would have just gotten home. We had to cancel a 2-week tour. It was Colorado through New Mexico and finishing in Texas and Oklahoma. So we had to cancel about 2 weeks of dates, which was pretty financially onerous. And especially on the musicians that I had hired in the band, we're trying to figure out a way to get them paid because it's not a good thing. They're in a pretty insecure spot. So we're going to figure out how to make that work.
Good, good. And you've pivoted really, you have a home studio and everything. It seems like you've pivoted really well to doing these live stream shows. Did that take very much to figure out, or were you already sort of ready to go?
So about a year ago, when I started the podcast 5 years ago, I really got interested in the power of different mediums. And so I always have my eye out for what I think would be a great new medium. And I think something that's been really underutilized in the singer-songwriter world is YouTube. I think it's been really, you go to, comedians are ahead of the curve with this stuff. They get it. And even like, there's younger YouTube stars, like kids that are playing, you know, covers on their acoustic guitar, playing like Yesterday on their acoustic guitar, and it gets 5 billion views
Right.
on YouTube. So like they get that. But a lot of people in my world, my colleagues, they don't get it. So about a year ago, long story short, I decided that the next venture I was going to move into was a streaming show. And so I've been gathering equipment to do that, lights and cameras and audio stuff. And it had just kind of fallen on the back burner because I put out a record and I was touring a lot and I had the kids but I had all the equipment here and I've been researching how to do it. And so when the pandemic hit, it was actually like, oh, I don't have to go to eBay or anything. Like I have all the stuff here in my studio waiting to go. And this is maybe, some sort of divine sign that it's time to get started with this idea.
So you were ready to go. That's amazing. And that explains why your setup is really a lot better than some of them.
Yeah, well, and also like once this whole craziness is over, and I don't think it's going to be over for a very long time, to be honest. I would not expect to play a concert until about fall 2021, as I'd say the earliest that live music is going to come back. So, I mean, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I'm financially planning for right now. It's just not coming back for 18 months.
Right.
But, I'm going to continue the live streaming show even after all this madness has passed, because I think it's a wonderful medium, and I think it will help bring more and more people into the tent.
Yeah, I was just talking to Suze from David Wax Museum right before this, and she sort of said the same thing, that they're finding that they're able to reach people who may not have been able to come to a live show in the past, and so they're probably going to continue doing it as well. And look at it as a way to be a little more judicious with how often they're out on the road, because they also have small kids at home.
Yeah, I mean, the live shows are never going to go away. Like that's what people love, that, it's getting into a room together and sharing some sort of communion with one another. But this will help. This will help. So you don't have to go do the stupid tours that you don't want to do, but you just need to make a couple $1,000.
Yeah. And it's a different way of engaging with people. It's just one more thing in your toolbox at this point too.
Well, yeah, and also like it's a much more modern way of communicating with people. Like the fact that as I'm playing the show, people can comment in and maybe I'll like respond to their questions and stuff like that. I mean, that's what every other form of entertainment is. So why would we expect that live music wouldn't take on some sort of element like that?
Sure. Talk to me about how frequently you're doing live streams right now. Are you all booked with the private ones? Are you still taking bookings for those?
Yeah, we sold out. We were doing these things called personal concerts, and we sold a lot of those. We sold out of those pretty much immediately, and now I'm finishing up those. Those are at night. I do between 5 to 7 of those per night, and then as soon as I'm done with those, I'm going to take some time off, about a week or two, because I've been playing every night. And it's weird, like I don't get to put my kids to bed. So I'd like to be able to do that. But then we'll probably put those back up for sale in May. And then I'm doing a public live streaming show every Sunday night at 9 p.m.
Wonderful. We'll be sure to keep sharing those on the Cable House Presents
Please do.
Facebook page. It's been nice because we've used that as a way now to spotlight which of our past performers are connecting with people that way. And then this has been a way to highlight some people who have played for us before, who we hope we'll get to see in the future in person. But in the meantime, this has been a nice way to connect.
Well, it will be, but it'll just take a while. But yeah, I mean, it'll all come back.
Yeah. I've been each day giving myself like maybe 5 minutes to let it really sink in. Newport is supposed to be 102 days from now. We're not going to have 10,000 people gather 102 days from now. They haven't officially announced that it's not happening, but that's
for this week's podcast.
How I get through a year.
Yeah, I interviewed Newport's everything is going forward, but obviously, you can read the tea leaves. I mean, it just seems impossible, just from a liability standpoint, that they'd be able to put on a festival like that in July. I mean, fingers crossed, but But yeah.
They've been doing some really great things to still spotlight the artists, and kind of just give people hope anyway and connect people. They're very good at that community building sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so where would you have been this weekend if this hadn't happened? Would you still be on the road or would you be home?
I would have been just getting home. We would have finished in Texas last weekend, and then I would have spent Easter Sunday down there, and then on Monday through Wednesday, I was supposed to be down there doing of this past week. I was supposed to be down in Austin doing a super secret, cool recording project that will still
Oh,
happen eventually, but will it just had to be put on the rocks. We'll see when that'll happen.
sure. And when the restrictions we're under now are lifted and we can move about freely and safely, what are you most looking forward to doing?
Well, I'm looking forward to my kids being able to play on a playground again. I mean, it's insane that 1 and 3 year olds haven't been on a swing in a month. And I really hope, and I doubt this will be the case, but I hope the pools are open this summer. I mean, one of the great things about having young kids is, when you don't have kids, you kind of forget about how great the pool is over the summer, and when you have kids, you remember how great the pool is. So, yeah, I just want to go take the kids to the playground, and I want to get to the pool. That's what I want to do.
Simple dad stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. Um, to sort of wrap things up, can you tell us where we can find more information about you and what you do, and how people can best support you either now or moving forward, whatever the new normal
Yeah.
is going to look like?
Just go to joepugmusic.com. Is where you can find me, or every Sunday night too. Actually, yeah, YouTube would be good. Just Google Joe Pug on YouTube, and go to my channel, sign up there, and we'll be doing a lot of fun stuff there over the course of the next little while.
Good. Anything else you want people to know?
That's it. Thanks for doing what you're
You want me
doing,
to do
JJ. I
that?
hope you're doing all right up there in York.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me today, Joe.
My pleasure. Good to talk to you. Peace.
Take care. Hang in there.